down in a chair. He looked around. This place is tiny, but he quickly reminded himself, pull yourself together. But the next moment, the person who actually held this position stood in front of him. When they learned he was the new employee today, they led him to the desk assigned to newcomers.
매우 마이크로하군요.
Then, he greeted his colleagues proactively, but he didn't know, the girl he met last night, who was unusually strong, also worked at this company, and she was in the same department as him. The girl recognized him immediately. Thinking about what happened last night, she suddenly became nervous. To avoid being recognized, she quickly lowered her bangs to cover her face, then made an excuse to go to a meeting. The girl hid along the way, even crouching behind a sofa to observe him. She quietly told her colleagues, the person she kissed last night was him. What shocked her even more, it wasn't a dream, and he had become her new colleague today. To avoid awkwardness, she kept avoiding Edward, but by lunchtime, they still ran into each other. The girl immediately grabbed 2 lettuce leaves to cover her face. Her colleagues curiously asked what she was doing. She hurriedly explained that she was checking which lettuce was fresher, but a colleague took the lettuce away. In desperation, the girl buried her face in her plate. Edward saw this, and thought she really loved food. In the end, the girl escaped with the help of her best friend. Even at the company dinner, she wore a mask. Her colleagues were confused. The girl could only explain she was testing the company's product, but instead, she got scolded by the boss. She had no choice. She could only secretly remove the mask while everyone was drinking. Unexpectedly, Edward suddenly sat across from her. The girl immediately picked up the menu to cover her face, but the menu was taken by a colleague beside her. She had to use a beer glass to continue hiding. Edward thought her behavior was strange. He tried to move the glass to see her face, but the girl held it tightly. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't move it. He had no choice but to give up. At that moment, Edward suddenly spoke.
계속 모른 척 하실 겁니까? 강미 씨?
The girl froze. Edward told her, since last night, he had been wanting to see her again. The girl hurriedly stopped him from speaking further. She was worried colleagues might overhear their secret, so she immediately led Edward outside. Outside, Edward told her. He recognized her the first time he saw her, and everything that happened last night. He remembered it all clearly. The girl thought of those moments, and could only pretend she didn't remember anything. But Edward had already guessed she would say that, so he handed her an envelope, telling her it contained what he wanted to say to her. The girl saw the envelope, and assumed it was a love letter. She shyly told him she would give him an answer tomorrow. After they said goodbye, the girl happily turned to leave. Edward kindly followed, opening the car door for her like a gentleman. The girl looked at him, feeling like love was finally arriving. She eagerly opened the envelope, but the next second, she was stunned. It wasn't a love letter at all. It was a compensation notice. Edward was asking her to pay for his mental distress. All the fees added up, a total of 2 million Korean won. The girl completely broke down. To pay off the money, she had no choice but to work at Edward's house. But no one expected. Their relationship was soon discovered by Edward's mother, and it led to a big misunderstanding.